Hey everyone, and welcome to Backseat Sports. I'm Josh, and that is Caleb. And guys, girls, ladies, and gentlemen, we are within the week of Husker football returning to Memorial Stadium with the fans involved. The spring game is only a few days away now on May 1st, and man, we are excited to talk some Husker football. Caleb, how you doing?
I'm excited to be back, excited to hear some Husker fans inside the stadium. It's very exciting. Husker football is definitely not the same. Everybody watching from their couches at home. While that is fun for away games, if you live near Memorial Stadium, you definitely want to be inside of it.
Facts.
And very excited to be back this week.
Oh, we'll be there this week. You got to make it to the spring game. We are excited to make that happen, man. We have a lot to talk about today, obviously, with the things that you need to know or the things you need to be looking for this weekend during the spring game, things that we're looking for this weekend. And, some of the key points and things that we're hoping to see in our little fun weekend with Husker football. First of all, we can kind of start with the format of the spring game and talk about that a little bit. It's a little bit different. There's no running clock this year. We're going to be doing based off of plays. It's about 25 to 30 or so plays per quarter, supposedly. So kind of like soccer rules here. They might get a few extra plays, I guess, or a little bit more time to go, depending on where they're at on the field. I don't know. But they said that will be kept on the scoreboard, so we'll kind of they'll be keeping track of how many plays are run. And there's going to be drills during the down times, like during quarter breaks or halftime or whatever, for players to do some 3v1s and punt return drills. So I don't know, that should be pretty interesting. Thoughts on that, Caleb?
Yeah, no, very exciting. And there's also going to be some extra points in there. If there's a 20 or more yard play, you get an extra point.
Yes.
If you throw a pick or it's a fumble, defense gets 6 points. Josh and I, we're still not quite sure on how we're going to pick the teams, if it's going to be kind of a draft style or, the ones versus the twos or the ones versus the ones. But either way, excited to see some reps. And, it's going to be fun overall. I like that they're, trying to fill the time with what they can, get those down times to get some drills. Obviously, our punt return needs the practice, so always happy to see that.
Like Caleb said, there's gonna be some other interesting scoring bonuses as well. Not only the 20-yard plays, but on the offensive side, you can get an extra bonus point for having 3 consecutive first downs within a drive. So that also gets pretty interesting. And like Caleb said, with the 6 points for each turnover, also the defense can get points for sacks, defensive touchdowns, which you can get a total of 12 points for defensive touchdown, 6 for the touchdown, and then 6 for the takeaway, which is that play as well. 2 points for a sack, 1 point for 3 and outs, 1 point for missed PATs, 2 points for successfully defending a 2-point conversion, and then 3 points for missed field goals. So there are some interesting kind of aspects there. We'll see if it ends up
going to be busy.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they're going to try to do some sort of defense versus offense type game and make it that way, or if it'll just truly be red versus white and the kind of normal situation there. And then we don't know yet, like Caleb said, if it's going to be a first team offense versus first team defense type situation, or if it'll be more of a draft style with even quote unquote teams on both sides. So it'll be pretty fun to see and interesting to see how it ends up being worked out. Maybe by the time this video goes live, that'll be known, but there's a lot to talk about, specifically about what we're hoping to see this year. So the first, obviously, kind of most important thing with spring games is figuring out starting battles and what might be going on here. Of course, a few updates for injuries. Marquis Stepp, Ben Stille, Will Honus will probably not be playing in this game. I mean, for sure, most of those guys. And then as well, Braxton Clark's a guy to watch out for. We'd love to see him in this game, considering he got hurt last year, and he's going to be a pretty important contributor this year at corner. And we're not exactly sure if he'll be playing a full rep load in this game or not, because he's been a little bit part-time in practices so far recently. So with that said, we can talk about some interesting starter battles and how this could play out with some transfers. Caleb, what's your most interesting thing so far with the starters? Where do you want to start with that?
The most interesting thing would probably be the running back situation.
Yeah.
We obviously get Stepp from USC, who did some things at USC, but he's definitely not a complete running back in the sense that Nebraska has had in the last few years, even in the recent history. We're going to probably need to see some other contributors in the running game. So I'm excited to see with Ronald Tompkins, Marvin Scott, or even Sevion Morrison, kind of where that's going to play out. And not having Marquis Stepp in is going to be fine, because we really do need to see more of those guys. And hopefully, they've gotten a little bit bigger, faster, stronger, because we're definitely going to need one of them to step up for Nebraska to be successful this year.
Well, according to the coaches, our offensive drills have gone great. Everyone's faster, bigger, and stronger, and they are just Olympians at this point. So we're in a pretty good spot, apparently. No, it is interesting, though. I'm really looking forward to, obviously, Sevion Morrison's been the guy, the hype of last year. Like, ooh, is he going to be that red shirt, the true freshman, to step up and be the Wandale of 2020? That obviously was not the case. He couldn't get on the field, and so it'll be really, really interesting to see if he kind of has that extra step. He was kind of one of the guys that's going to highlight maybe a little bit later, but I guess we can talk about him now as one of the most interesting players during the spring game to see what happens with him. And like I said, I agree, it's going to be a committee this year, almost for sure, unless one of these guys surprises in a big time way. So that definitely gets me really, really interested off the rip for sure. Other, starter battles or positional battles. I mean, the wide receiving situation is definitely interesting as well. Obviously, with the addition of some pretty exciting options this year, with as well, of course, losing like Wandale never helps. But when you bring in Samori Toure, the hype's been there so far in spring camps. All eyes are on Toure to see what he can bring to the table in the spring game, what that could look like alongside Xavier Betts, Omar Manning, of course. Caleb, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Samori Toure, obviously, the hype has definitely been there for him. And my question is, can a guy from, a smaller football translate and obviously can our offense get the ball to him? But B, is he going to be a big contributor for us, or is he going to be more of a Conavai Noah, where there's a lot of hype coming? He's a transfer from a different school, and it never really worked out or panned out for him because Conavai was kind of the same thing. I'm looking for more reps. I want to get into the league. I'm coming to see where a better passer is in a bigger market or whatnot. And it didn't really work out from him from Cal to Nebraska. Obviously. Right. Tore's
a little bit more interesting though, because he was setting records at Montana, as one of their best receivers of all time there. So I think that's kind of why the hype's almost out of the building right now for Toure, even versus Conavai, who was the 700, 800 yardage range for Cal in his senior year, somewhere in there. And Toure was in the 1,500 yard mark. I think he had the single season receiving record for Montana. So, that's what gets interesting is the upside and the dominant potential there, especially when he's 6'3", 190 or so ish in that range.
Definitely excited. Definitely showed some speed on the tape. So yeah, I really hope that can pan out. And it'll be really interesting to see. I think going in from the wide receiver, I know you and I are the chunk plays, those 20-yard plus plays is something that Nebraska desperately needs in their offense, something that Scott Frost kind of lives by his offense are those fast plays, and Nebraska really was not able to do that last year. And so I think you and me both in these scrimmages would love to see that Adrian taking some deep shots, our running back, some interesting new plays. Obviously, you can't throw the whole playbook at him, but because you want to save some from the season. But
for sure,
it'd be nice to see some of those things in the Nebraska offense, especially if we're playing some of our better defense,
right?
Which I think most every Nebraska fan at this point understands that our defense is probably going to be better than our offense is this year.
Probably. How kind of you.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Is definitely generous. Yes, it's going to be better than our offense. But if we can see them make some plays, see some of those guys, like Ronald Tompkins or Marvin Scott or Toure or Betts or Manning, do something against the defense impressive. Sure. Somebody mosses somebody rips off a play, something to get Nebraska fans kind of juiced about the offense.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be exciting to see in a situation where, let's say Omar Manning rips off a 70-yard touchdown over Cam Taylor or something like that. That would get you excited to see a connection like that from Adrian to Omar or something like that in actual live action against a player that we know is talented. We know our secondary is solid. So if it is going to be first team versus first team, which it would be the ideal situation, then that would be great. But that's not guaranteed at this point. But yeah, for sure. Either way, the shots downfield is something I think everyone wants to see and would definitely be nice and telling and a good sign moving forward if Adrian can start hitting some of these deep balls, even in a spring game situation, just because we haven't seen that the past 2 years since his freshman year. So I'm I 100% agree. That is absolutely huge. So on the defensive side, I definitely think the linebacking core is at least pretty interesting. I mean, we kind of know, we know the gist of it. I mean, we know that JoJo's going to be there. We know Will Honus is going to be there in the season. We know that Garrett Nelson's going to be an important factor there.
Reimers.
Right, yeah, Reimers is going to be there for sure as well. And like, there's a lot of interesting contributors there in the linebacking core that makes for a pretty cool group of guys and a really, really like potentially dominant linebacking core if they can all live up to their potential. So the most interesting piece right now would be the grad transfer from Northern Iowa, Chris Kolarevich, something along those lines. And he's definitely a pretty interesting player as a pretty big contributor from Northern Iowa. And like they've been a pretty good program. I'm really interested to see what he can do. And he's gotten a lot of hype so far in spring practice. And so he's definitely a guy I have my eye on. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, agreed. I definitely, on those run plays, it's kind of a catch-22 because I'd love to see our defense play well, especially on the run stoppage. We kind of weren't statistically great at it. That was in part to we were on the field so much and we were down so much to teams at times that kind of, padded those stats. But I definitely would like to see some more sure tackling, some closing speed from our outside linebackers to make some plays. It would be fantastic to see some of those younger guys be able to do that. And just, if we could see our linebackers, if we could see them have another step. If our linebacking core can be pretty solid this year, I think our defense has a chance to really be something special, a top 40 defense to, inside the top 25 defense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, last year, obviously, well, for the past 4 or 5 years, our linebacking core has really struggled in coverage, especially since we transitioned to a 3-4. And it's just been pain watching some of these guys try to defend the flats and across the middle of the field. And you're just like, oh.
Except for JoJo.
Right. And that's the thing. JoJo's been great in coverage, especially last year, was fantastic in coverage. We saw some of those moments highlighted even downfield with some of the plays he made. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see like how a guy like, let's say, Feldarius Payne, who really showed up and showed out at the end of last season. He actually ended up being the fourth highest rated player on Pro Football Focus from Nebraska last year on the defensive side of the ball. And like he started off pretty slow last year as a whole. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how he develops this year. And it feels like there hasn't been that much hype around a guy like him heading into spring camp. And so I'm excited to see what his role could look like. We really experimented with him as like an edge rusher last year and what that could look like.
Yeah, and even like young guys like Snodgrass and stuff are pretty interesting. Sure. I think, there hopefully is a pretty bright future there.
We saw like moments like Nick Heinrich where you're like, okay, all right, there's something here, but he was definitely very inconsistent, had some pretty bad moments as well. And so, and like also similar with a guy like Caleb Tanner, where like we lined him up in 3-point stance a lot, trying to like once in a while we had that 4-3 package we ran once in a while with a fourth down lineman. We're looking for a kind of a step forward with Caleb Tanner and how we might try to use him in a spring game situation where last year he was basically only really useful in running downs and didn't really come forward. It didn't really come forward very well when he was used in a 3-4 situation. So, those are types of like usages we're looking for in a spring game, especially in the linebacking core with a group of guys that's pretty deep, or at least with a pretty deep group of usable guys.
Yeah, and just another thing is like use of hands, being able to shed blocks. I feel like that's the other big weakness that we've had in the linebacker core. I don't know what it is, if it's technique, if it's not strong enough. Yeah. But, those guys are asked to blitz a lot, and it really was not effective and has not been effective these last couple years. Our cornerback or our safety blitzes have worked, but our linebacker blitzes have not been very useful. I feel like they're not getting to the quarterback as much as they should be. I think besides Reimers.
Right, that's what I'm saying. After Reimer came in, that was where it was the most exciting aspect, was using him to get to the quarterback. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do this year. And I think he could be a big time playmaker for us, especially in a pass rush situation. And he really excelled in that once he replaced Colin Miller halfway through the year. So that's what gets me excited. And, Will Honus, I thought he showed some improvement last year in pass rush as well.
Yeah, it's his coverage that's the question.
Yes, his coverage is definitely the question. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what that could look like this year. Again, I don't necessarily know if those questions are going to get answered for us in the spring game. We probably got off on a little bit of a tangent there. But the usage is what I'm looking for in this game, to see which guys are getting the most playing time, what type of packages are being used in. even early on in the season like this. So the quarterback side of things, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but Braxton Clark versus Quentin Newsome, kind of on the outside, replacing DiCaprio Bootle, will be a little bit of an interesting starting battle there as well. I think most people expect Newsome to be the guy. When we saw Braxton Clark 2 years ago, he showed a lot of promise. I really, really liked what I saw from him. And then he got hurt last year in warmups, which was just really unfortunate. And so, I don't know, man. I'm excited to see what Braxton Clark can do. I really like the prospects that he brings to the table. And I think he has a lot of the right build for what it takes to be a great DB. But we need to see it from him, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, healthiness is a big part of that as well. I do think Nadav Joseph. Yeah, and I did think, Quinton Newsome did show some things as well. Again, I'm excited about those guys just to be able to get some reps because they are going to be needed so much in the future.
For sure.
If that refining fire of one of those two competing for the starting job can make them that much better, that's very exciting for Nebraska football and something we definitely desperately need.
Oh, so badly. 100%. Yeah, O-line wise, I mean, I don't think there's too much to talk about there besides just like continuing to see the kind of like the unit as a whole kind of coming together. We're looking to trying to see how they perform in a situation like that. But again, we might not even see them as a full unit. This might be a situation where the ones and twos are playing together here. So that's what we're kind of looking for in a situation where it is the starting offense versus the starting defense. Then it'll be interesting to see how this offensive line is used as a unit. Trying to replace Brendan Hymace is going to be no easy task, especially after what we saw last year in our last game of the year. Not an ideal situation there. We're looking for improvement across the O-line as a whole with our youthful group of talent up front. No seniors.
Our guys are so young. We have no senior offensive linemen this year. We do have 3 juniors, 3 sophomores, 8 redshirt freshmen, 10 true freshmen. So 18 of our 24 O linemen are a freshman in some sort. We're still extremely young.
Right. But again, the youth is kind of deceiving because we have lots of starts up front, considering
that is true.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Cam Jurgens has started more like games than most like senior offensive linemen in college football. So it's like, there is a lot of experience up front, even though we don't have the age to go with it. It just shows how inexperienced a lot of these guys have been the past 2 years. It has been tough to say the least. D-line wise, it is a kind of interesting situation for the D-line right now, right? I mean, again, no Stilly. So we're looking to see who can step up there on that right side and play that D-line for us. I think I'm pretty excited about this group as a whole, though. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think probably Daniels will probably be in the middle. And for
sure.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see.
Robinson.
Ty Robinson obviously had some sparks at the end of last year. A lot of people are definitely looking for him to make the step. I've heard and read a lot about him just after this season and moving forward. I feel like there is a lot of expectation on Ty Robinson, and we'll see if he can do it. Just looking at his stats, I'm not sure if he. Yeah, not like for the hype that he had been getting. I didn't see it on paper. Obviously, there was a couple exciting plays on film for sure, but against lower tier offensive lines. But again, he is somebody to look for. But again, probably most Nebraska fans have heard that at this point.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's the thing. Ty Robinson, he did have, I would say, probably his best games. Like, Rutgers game was really solid. Minnesota game was solid. So at the end of the year, he was kind of coming on as like I thought we saw some improvement there. But,
they were our worst teams we saw.
Right. But that's the thing. They were probably some of the worst teams we saw all season long as well. So it is a little bit tough when we feel like we saw some improvement as a team, especially in that Rutgers game. But it's like, it's Rutgers. And then we didn't play a bowl game.
And we almost lost that game.
Yeah, well, turnovers were tough. But yeah, for sure. That's why it's like there are a lot of question marks up front, especially with this team. And we're trying to figure out exactly what that looks like.
Yeah, our defensive line, again, quarterback pressure has been such an issue for us, and run stop. A lot's going to fall on our defensive line this year. And if that front seven, again, if they can muster together, if honestly, if one of those 7 can be just an all Big Ten player.
Oh,
you know, if one of our 7,
could you imagine?
One of them can turn to an all Big Ten player, like even second team, like we're a different unit. We're a different unit if we can get to the quarterback, because again, we do have, I feel like, a top 25 in the country secondary. But our front 7, I feel, is so weak that it really brings down our defense. And if one of those guys can step up and be the difference,
that's fair.
I mean, I think we can be a pretty, you know, I think JoJo's going to be JoJo, and he's good, and it has to be somebody else besides him. So I guess 6, you know, but front 6 besides JoJo. I need one of those guys to.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, I think like
to be special.
I would say Jordan Riley is at least a little interesting as well. I mean, coming in, transferring in, and seeing what he can do. Because like last year he had some injury issues, and so like we didn't really get to see a lot from him as a JUCO transfer, even though there was a little bit of hype. He played 36 total snaps last year. And so, you know, and like guys like Keem Green were in front of him, and then Keem Green ends up transferring. So there are some interesting aspects with him. DeAndre Thomas is interesting, I think, as another guy that could be a playmaker, or at least a contributor up front. Again, when you're looking at it, it's going to be kind of hard to. I think Daniels has his job locked in pretty well. Yeah, Casey Rogers is also, I think, going to be a contributor for sure as well. Again, we have some like solid pieces, but no one that gets you like excited up front, you know? And and like I want to get excited, right?
Yeah, I want a quarterback killer up in the front, you know,
dude.
Somebody that is.
Give me a
hunting.
first round talent up front, right? Like I miss those days.
Randy Gregory.
Where's Randy Gregory at, man?
Yeah, not even Sue. I mean, yeah, Randy Gregory. I mean, my goodness.
Come on.
Just some dude that would feast on some guard or tackle.
Yeah, I might have to throw out like some Randy Gregory highlights on Twitter, because it's like I think Nebraska fans forgot like what first round talent up front looks like, because
it's fear. It's fear is what it is.
It's scary. And we haven't had the type of speed up front as a pass rusher in so long, not since him.
I just remember just how active and nice Sue's and Randy Gregory's. They just had so many tools in the tool bag.
Oh man,
to get past like, their offensive linemen. Like just so like.
Do you remember Randy Gregory's inside spin? Inside spin was terrifying. He gives you the one hand, he just swims, spin, bang, right into the quarterback. Like,
just. Fast as a heart attack.
Yeah, Randy Gregory's hands were just insane. They were so good. And not to mention his speed on the outside was disgusting. But yeah, it's like we haven't had that in so long. And it's like, you really do forget what first round talent feels like at this point for Nebraska. It's really it's a shame. Although we don't forget, because we get to watch Cam Taylor-Britt, baby. Come on. Get him in the first round, NFL. Let's go.
I mean, he'd have to have a year.
It's going to be close. I think he'll probably end up being.
You think it's going to be close?
Close? I think close is fair. End of the second. I could see him as an end of the second type guy. For sure.
I think that'd be a pretty good year. I think he's definitely a solid pick. He'd have to do something pretty special, which again, I'm not saying he's outside his realm. I love the guy. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he's my favorite Husker right now, 100%, hands down, no doubt about it.
I mean, yeah, it's not even close.
It's not close. Although JoJo's great. You got to give it to JoJo because he loves Huskers.
JoJo is great, and he hustles, and he came back. And again, his Twitter game is very strong.
Facts. All right.
Free plugs for the man.
We already talked about Xavier Betts. Austin Allen, of course. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how we use the tight ends in the game as well.
I think he can take a step. Like this year.
Like a step? You mean like a step?
I think he could be a
6'8" athlete, Austin Allen, pass catcher. Like that's you're getting huge. NFL scouts drooling a little bit with a 6'8" pass catcher.
I know if he gets a hair faster and it's a little bit cleaner, and it's honestly the blocking that was kind of the problem.
It was a problem for him. You're right.
He couldn't hold the edge as well as Stoll could.
Stoll was a great blocker. That's why he played. You know, I mean, we didn't need him to make the big time catches, even though he did make some great catches for us last year. I mean, that's for sure. Yeah. But from a blocking perspective, made that for sure.
3rd and 21 catch. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
And just a magician.
Adrian's 4 20-yard passes last year?
Yeah, I think they were like most of them. And then
I had that stat somewhere. But yeah, one of his few down of the field passes last year.
One of the very small few of our chunk plays.
But it was wild to say the least. I don't know. I'm again, I don't think we're gonna see too much from Austin Allen in the spring game specifically, but
no,
come on, you gotta be hyped about Austin Allen going into this year.
I'd love to see one dime to him though. I mean, I think he's got some baseball mitt gloves. You know, I think
he does.
You know, he could be one hand snagging those.
That's why Adrian likes throwing to him. You know, it's hard to miss. Yeah. It's hard to miss.
Yeah, he's huge. So again, have him catch a couple nice ones. Very exciting.
100%. Other things here. So other reasons why the spring game is at least interesting is because there's gonna be quite a few recruits there actually. So there's gonna be a total of 14 recruits there as far as we know right now. Actually 7 from 2022 class and 7 from the 2023 class. From the 2022 class,
I've seen put in their work early.
Yes, and in a year where it's kind of hard to convince guys to come out for a spring game, so that things you'll have to see. And there's gonna be hopefully about 50,000 Husker fans there or so. Somewhere between 30 to 50,000. So we'll see what happens. That'll be pretty exciting to say the least. Hopefully we can squeeze as many in there as possible. You know, I mean,
100%.
Yeah, for sure. And some of the guys to highlight: a 4-star quarterback, MJ Morris, is going to be there. He's 4-star on Rivals, 3-star on 24/7. We've got a D lineman, Chris McClellan, who's going to be there. He's 4-star on 24/7. They're both in the 2022 class. And like I said, a total of 7 from the 2022 class. And then the 2023 class got some spicy ones as well, CJ.
Yes. QB Reese Mooney.
Yes.
His dad apparently loves the Huskers. So very exciting.
He's also our first QB target of the 2023 class. So that's cool.
Very spicy.
Things love to see.
And Shelton Sampson.
Now we're talking here.
Tape. He's a 5-star on 24/7 Sports and the 24th overall national prospect. And he is a 6'4". He was 6'4" as a freshman.
Yeah. Dude's
and
wild.
he was absolutely mossing everybody. It looked like he was playing high school, or it looks like he was playing against middle schoolers.
Yeah, dude.
But he wasn't. I guarantee you it was against high school players, and he was the young one. So it was a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, that would be the biggest landing for Nebraska football.
Yeah, he's already got offers from like LSU and a lot of legit
everywhere.
schools. He's right now favored to go to LSU, so we'll see. But unlikely that he comes here, but you never know. You never know. So you got to keep those doors open.
Since Marlon Lucky, so we're still waiting on another 5-star.
Right.
Since Marlon
if you run
Lucky.
into Shelton Sampson, just
yes,
give him whatever's in your wallet. All right. You didn't hear it from me.
Josh is tampering.
Didn't hear it from me.
Tampering.
Nope. At least we're not giving our recruits cars or like Dodge, Chargers.
Was it Tennessee that was doing like the $20K in like McDonald's bags?
Yeah, because there was like some sanctions there. Shout out Bo Pelini, by the way. I saw Youngstown got into some recruiting problems and that was like recruiting problems from when he was there before he went to LSU to get fired. Tough stuff there for Bo.
Don't cheat.
Don't cheat, kids.
Story.
Don't cheat.
Don't cheat.
But yeah, besides that, I mean, again, I'm just looking to see a healthy Sevion Morrison make explosive plays. I'm looking for the Omar Manning and Xavier Betts, Adrian Martinez connection. I'm looking for downfield plays. Downfield plays. Caleb and I are going to do a video about quarterback situations here, but like last year, in big time throws, Adrian Martinez was ranked 128th in big time throws, which is throws more than 15 yards downfield in pressure situations and or in a tight window and or putting the ball in a perfect spot. This is Pro Football Focus. 128th in downfield throws last year. So we are looking for big time throws from Adrian Martinez, and even in the spring game would be awesome. And
show me again. I want to see him throw a good ball. I felt like again freshman year we saw that spiral was nice and tight and downfield and exciting to watch. You're just airing out bombs. I just really love to see that from Adrian again. I mean, even if it's just a spring game, I'd love to see some swagger and some confidence and just some nice throws from the guy. We're going to need him if we're going to win games this year. Our defense can't score that many points while they were able to do some of it last year. We're going to need our offense to score some too. So definitely chunk plays, I think, are...
Yep. Last year, Adrian Martinez was ranked 190th in deep ball passer grade from Pro Football Focus.
Why you gotta break my heart like
We'll
this?
leave you with that. All right, YouTube. It has been real,
Just giving
everybody.
them nightmares, Josh.
I know. I'm giving you guys, everyone horrible flashbacks, but this is why we need to see some good deep ball throws here from Adrian. If we want our offense to move the ball this year,
away the bad
and have any chance at 7-8 wins this year, we need to have balls
Give us
downfield.
the Kool-Aid.
We gotta drink that Kool-Aid, and I want to see it. YouTube, drop all your comments down below about the spring game. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. And what are your guys' thoughts? Who's winning this spring game? The red team, the white team, the offense, the defense? Who's scoring the most points for us in this spring game? I'd love to see all your comments down below. But we do appreciate seeing them. But as always, I'm Josh. That's Caleb. This has been Backseat Sports, and guys, we will see you next time. Woo. Go Big Red.